World Series starts on page 68. There's long spells. 3 days, years, when you can't see a thing, know where you are only by the speaker sounding overhead like a bell buoy clanging in the fog. When I can see, the guys are usually moving around as unconcerned as though they didn't notice so much as a mist in the air. I believe the fog affects their memory some way it doesn't affect mine. Even McMurphy doesn't seem to know he's been fogged in. If he does, he makes sure not to let on that he's bothered by it. He's making sure none of the staff sees him bothered by anything. He knows that there's no better way in the world to aggravate somebody who's trying to make it hard for you than by acting like you're not bothered. He keeps up his high-class manners around the nurses and the black boys in spite of anything they might say to him, in spite of every trick they pull to get him to lose his temper. A couple of times some stupid rule gets him mad, but he just makes himself act more polite and mannerly than ever till he begins to see how funny the whole thing is. The rules, the disapproving looks they use to enforce the rules, the ways of talking to you like you're nothing but a 3-year-old, and when he sees how funny it is he goes to laughing, and this aggravates them no end. He's safe as long as he can laugh, he thinks, and it works pretty fair. Just once he loses control and shows he's mad, and then it's not because of the black boys or the big nurse and something they did, but it's because of the patients and something they didn't do. It happened at one of the group meetings. He got mad at the guys for acting too cagey, too chicken shit, he called it. He'd been taking bets from all of them on the World Series coming up Friday. He'd had it in mind that they would get to watch the games on TV, even though they didn't come on during regulation TV time. During the meeting a few days before, he asks if it would be okay if they did the cleaning work at night, during TV time, and watched the games during the afternoon. The nurse tells him no, which is about what he expected. She tells him how the schedule has been set up for a 105 delicately balanced reason that would be thrown into turmoil by the switch of routines. This doesn't surprise him, coming from the nurse. What does surprise him is how the acutes act when he asks them what they think of the idea. Nobody says a thing. They're all sunk back out of sight in little pockets of fog. I can barely see them. Now look here, he tells them, but they don't look. He's been waiting for somebody to say something, answer his question. Nobody acts like they've heard it. Look here, damn it, he says when nobody moves. There's at least 12 of you guys I know of myself got a little personal interest who wins these games. Don't you guys care to watch them? I don't know, Mac, Scanlon finally says. I'm pretty used to seeing that 6 o'clock news. And if switching times would really mess up the schedule as bad as Miss Ratchet says, the hell with the schedule. You can get back to the bloody schedule next week, when the series is over. What do you say, buddies? Let's take a vote on watching the TV during the afternoon instead of at night. All those in favor? Chase Wink calls out and gets to his feet. I mean, all those in favor raise their hands. Okay, all those in favor? Chase Wink's hand comes up. Some of the other guys look around to see if there's any other fools. McMurphy can't believe it. Come on now, what is this crap? I thought you guys could vote on policy and that sort of thing. Isn't that the way it is, Doc? The doctor nods without looking up. Okay then. Now who wants to watch those games? Kankisi one flew over the cuckoo's nest 69. Chasewick shoves his hand higher and glares around. Scanlon shakes his head and then raises his hand, keeping his elbow on the arm of the chair. And nobody else. McMurphy can't say a word. If that's settled, then, the nurse says, perhaps we should get on with the meeting. Yeah, he says, slides down in his chair till the brim of his cap nearly touches his chest. Yeah, perhaps we should get on with the son of a bitchin' meeting at that. Yeah, Chasewick says, giving all the guys a hard look and sitting down. Yeah, get on with the God-blessed meeting. He nods stiffly, then settles his chin down on his chest, scowling. He's pleased to be sitting next to McMurphy, feeling brave like this. It's the first time Chasewick ever had somebody along with him on his lost causes. 106. After the meeting, McMurphy won't say a word to any of them. He's so mad and disgusted. It's Billy Bibbit who goes up to him. Some of us have been here for FI 5 years, Randall, Billy says. He's got a magazine rolled up and is twisting at it with his hands. You can see the cigarette burns on the backs of his hands. And some of us will be here maybe much longer, long after you're GG gone, long after this World Series is over. And, don't you see, he throws down the magazine and walks away. Oh, what's the use of it anyway? McMurphy stares after him, that puzzled frown knotting his bleached eyebrows together again. He argues for the rest of the day with some of the other guys about why they didn't vote, but they don't want to talk about it, so he seems to give up. Doesn't say anything about it again till the day before the series starts. Here it is Thursday, he says, sadly shaking his head. He's sitting on one of the tables in the tub room with his feet on a chair, trying to spin his cap around one finger. Other acutes mope around the room and try not to pay any attention to him. Nobody will play poker or blackjack with him for money anymore. After the patients wouldn't vote, he got mad and skinned them so bad at cards that they're also in debt. They're scared to go any deeper, and they can't play for cigarettes because the nurse has started making the men keep their cartons on the desk in the nurse's station, where she doles them out 1 pack a day, says it's for their health, but everybody knows it's to keep McMurphy from winning them all at cards. With no poker or blackjack, it's quiet in the tub room, just the sound of the speaker drifting in from the day room. It's so quiet you can hear that guy upstairs in Disturbed climbing the wall, giving out an occasional signal, loo, a bored, uninterested sound, like a baby yells to yell itself to sleep. Thursday, McMurphy says again. Loo, yells that guy upstairs. That's Roller, Scanlon says, looking up at the ceiling. He don't want to pay any attention to McMurphy. Roller the Squaller. He came through this ward a few years back. Wouldn't keep still to suit Miss Ratchet, you remember, Billy, Lulu all the time till I thought I'd go nuts. What they should do with that whole bunch of dingbats up there is toss a couple of grenades in the dorm. They're no use to anybody. 107, and tomorrow is Friday, McMurphy says. He won't let Scanlon change the subject. Yeah, Chasewick says, scowling around the room, tomorrow is Friday. Harding turns a page of his magazine. And that will make nearly a week our friend McMurphy has been with us without succeeding in throwing over the government. Is that what you're saying, Cheswickle? Lord, to think of the chasm of apathy in which we have fallen. A shame, a pitiful shame. The hell with that, McMurphy says. What Chasewick means is that the first series game is gonna be played on TV tomorrow, and what are we gonna be doing? Mopping up this damned nursery again. Yeah, Chasewick says. Old Mother Ratchet's therapeutic nursery. 70 against the wall of the tub room. I get a feeling like a spy. The mop handle in my hands is made of metal instead of wood. Metal's a better conductor and it's hollow. There's plenty of room inside it to hide a miniature microphone. If the big nurse is hearing this, she'll really get Chasewick. I take a hard ball of gum from my pocket and pick some fuzz off it and hold it in my mouth till it softens. Let me see again, McMurphy says. How many of you birds will vote with me if I bring up the time switch again? About half the acutes nod yes, a lot more than would really vote. He puts his hat back on his head and leans his chin in his hands. I tell ya, I can't figure it out. Harding, what's wrong with you? For crying out loud? You afraid if you raise your hand that old buzzard LL cut it off? Harding lifts one thin eyebrow. Perhaps I am. Perhaps I am afraid she'll cut it off if I raise it. What about you, Billy? Is that what you're scared of? No. I don't think she'd do anything, but... He shrugs and sighs and climbs up on the big panel that controls the nozzles on the shower, perches up there like a monkey. but I just don't think a vote woo-woo would do any good. Not in the long run. It's just no use, Mac. Do any good? Hooey. It'd do you birds some good just to get the exercise lifting that arm. It's still a risk, my friend. She always has the capacity to make things worse for us. A baseball game isn't worth the risk, Harding says. Who the hell says so? Jesus, I haven't missed a World Series in years. Even when I was in the cooler one September they, 108, let us bring in a TV and watch the series. They'd have had a riot on their hands if they hadn't. I just may have to kick that damn door down and walk to some bar downtown to see the game. Just me and my buddy Chasewick. Now there's a suggestion with a lot of merit, Harding says, tossing down his magazine. Why not bring that up for vote in group meeting tomorrow? Miss Rushed, I'd like to move that the ward be transported en masse to the idle hour for beer and television. I'd second the motion, Chasewick says. Damn right. The hell with that in mass business, McMurphy says. I'm tired of looking at you bunch of old ladies. When me and Chasewick bust out of here I think by God I'm gonna nail the door shut behind me. You guys better stay behind. Your mama probably wouldn't let you cross the street. Yeah? Is that it? Fredrickson has come up behind McMurphy. You're just going to raise one of those big He-Man boots of yours and kick down the door? A real tough guy. McMurphy don't hardly look at Fredrickson. He's learned that Fredrickson might act hard-boiled now and then, but it's an act that folds under the slightest scare. What about it, He-Man? Fredrickson keeps on. Are you going to kick down that door and show us how tough you are? No, Fred, I guess not. I wouldn't want to scuff up my boot. Yeah? Okay, you've been talking so big. Just how would you go about busting out of here? McMurphy takes a look around him. Well, I guess I could knock the mesh out of one of these windows with a chair when and if I took a notion. Yeah? You could you? Knock it right out. Okay, let's see you try. Come on, He-Man, I'll bet you $10 you can't do it. Don't bother trying, Mac, Chasewick says. Fredrickson knows you'll just break a chair and end up undisturbed. The first day we arrived over here we were given a demonstration about these screens. They're specially made. A technician picked up a chair just like that one you've got your feet on and beat the screen till the chair was no more than kindling wood. Didn't hardly dent the screen. Ken Kesey one flew over the cuckoo's nest 71. Okay then, McMurphy says, taking a look around him. I can see he's getting more interested. I hope the big nurse isn't hearing this. He'll be up undisturbed in an hour. We need something heavier. How about a table? Same as the chair. Same wood, same weight. All right, by God, let's just figure out what I'd have to toss 109 through that screen to bust out. And if you birds don't think I'd do it if I ever got the urge, then you got another thing coming. Okay, something bigger and a table or a chair. Well, if it was night I might throw that fat coon through it. He's heavy enough. Much too soft, Harding says. He'd hit the screen and it would dice him like an eggplant. How about one of the beds? A bed is too big even if you could lift it. It wouldn't go through the window. I could lift it all right. Well, hell, right over there you are. That thing Billy's sitting on. That big control panel with all the handles and cranks. That's hard enough, ain't it? And it damn well should be heavy enough. Sure, Fredrickson says. That's the same as you kicking your foot through the steel door at the front. What would be wrong with using the panel? It don't look nailed down. No, it's not bolted. There's probably nothing holding it but a few wires. But look at it, for Christ's sakes. Everybody looks. The panel is steel and cement, half the size of one of the tables, probably weighs 400 pounds. Okay, I'm looking at it. It don't look any bigger than hay bales I've bucked up onto truck beds. I'm afraid, my friend, that this contrivance will weigh a bit more than your bales of hay. About a quarter ton more, I'd bet, Fredrickson says. He's right, Mac, Chasewick says. It'd be awful heavy. Hell, are you birds telling me I can't lift that inky little gizmo? My friend, I don't recall anything about psychopaths being able to move mountains in addition to their other noteworthy assets. Okay, you say I can't lift it. Well, by God. McMurphy hops off the table and goes to peeling off his green jacket. The tattoos sticking half out of his t-shirt jump around the muscles on his arms. Then who's willing to lay $5? Nobody's gonna convince me I can't do something till I try it. $5, McMurphy, this is as foolhardy as your bet about the nurse. Who's got $5 they want to lose? You hit or you sit. The guys all go to signing liens at once. He's beat them so many times at poker and blackjack they can't wait to get back 110 at him, and this is a certain sure thing. I don't know what he's driving at. Broad and big as he is, it'd take 3 of him to move that panel, and he knows it. He can just look at it and see he probably couldn't even tip it, let alone lift it. It'd take a giant to lift it off the ground. But when the acutes all get their IOUs signed, he steps up to the panel and lifts Billy Bit down off it and spits in his big calloused palms and slaps them together, rolls his shoulders. Okay, stand out of the way. Sometimes when I go to exerting myself I use up all the air nearby and grown men faint from suffocation. Stand back. There's liable to be crack in cement and flying steel. Get the women and kids someplace safe. Stand back. By golly, he might do it, Chasewick mutters. Sure, maybe he'll talk it off the floor, Fredrickson says. More likely he'll acquire a beautiful hernia, Harding says. Come now, McMurphy, quit acting like a fool. There's no man can lift that thing. Ken Kesey one flew over the cuckoo's nest 72. Stand back, sissies, you're using my oxygen. McMurphy shifts his feet a few times to get a good stance, and wipes his hands on his thighs again, then leans down and gets hold of the levers on each side of the panel. When he goes to straining, the guys go to hooting and kidding him. He turns loose and straightens up and shifts his feet around again. Giving up? Fredrickson grins. Just limbering up. Here goes the real effort, and grabs those levers again. And suddenly nobody's hooting at him anymore. His arms commence to swell, and the veins squeeze up to the surface. He clenches his eyes, and his lips draw away from his teeth. His head leans back, and tendons stand out like coiled ropes running from his heaving neck down both arms to his hands. His whole body shakes with the strain as he tries to lift something he knows he can't lift, something everybody knows he can't lift. But, for just a second, when we hear the cement grind at our feet, we think, by golly, he might do it. Then his breath explodes out of him, and he falls back limp against the wall. There's blood on the levers where he tore his hands. He pants for a minute against the wall with his eyes shut. There's no sound but his scraping breath. Nobody's saying a thing. He opens his eyes and looks around at us. One by one he looks at the guys, even at me. Then he fishes in his pockets for all the IOUs he won the last few days at poker. He bends over 111 the table and tries to sort them, but his hands are frozen to red claws, and he can't work the fingers. Finally he throws the whole bundle on the floor, probably $40 or $50 worth from each man, and turns to walk out of the tub room. He stops at the door and looks back at everybody standing around. But I tried, though, he says. God damn it, I sure as hell did that much, now, didn't I? And walks out and leaves those stained pieces of paper on the floor for whoever wants to sort through them.